Evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the EvoSec podcast. Man, I got two excellent friends of mine. I mean, these guys continue to fight for the highest number of appearances on our show. Man, and they are brutal to each other over it. But you know what? It's a lot of fun. But more importantly, I like to have these guys on because they contribute to myself and to our audience. So welcome, Chris Lapre and Cecil Burch. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'd be better if you'd introduce me first instead of Chris.
Hey, Chris, I did that on purpose.
Oh, hey man, it's okay. Like I wanted Cecil to go first because I actually was online before you checked on and I saw him coming in on his walker. So I actually thought the elderly should go first.
That's true. I wish I could argue with you. I wish I could say something like, "Oh, screw you, Chris," but that's kind of true.
Well, guys, most people should know you, but give a real summarized bio real quick. Cecil, we'll start with you, buddy.
In my 48th year of martial arts, and that's a continuous training over the years of, at this point, I've done like everything at some point. Name a martial art, I probably trained in it for a little bit. Instructor certs in a bunch of arts. Most of the last 25 plus years have focused on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, and wrestling, and how that operates in a weapons-based environment, how to train it and how to teach it. I run a jiu-jitsu academy, so I'm teaching jiu-jitsu all the time. I've competed in jiu-jitsu a lot, did some boxing smokers, did a bunch of stuff. I'm in my 20th year of doing the road show, traveling around teaching seminars, though I don't do as much as I used to. Instead of doing like 12 to 18 a year, I'm only doing about 5 or 6 a year now. But pretty much that's it.
Well, and before we move to Chris here, yeah, I'm super excited about you coming to North Carolina here in November.
Yeah.
I'm privileged and honored for you to ask me to AI with you, but I think part of your plan is also let me get beat up a little bit too.
That's not kind of part of my plan. That's entirely my plan. In front of everybody, in front of witnesses.
I'm game, brother. It won't be the first time. But anyway, yeah, I'm super excited about that, Cecil. So, Chris Lapre, give us the summary bio. And by the way, I'll point the full bio for both you guys in the show notes.
Sure. Man, Central Arizona for the past almost 30 years now. Was in law enforcement, recently retired, but still active reserve. I teach for Surefire. I teach for couple other companies. Most people probably know me from hosting classes out of the Casa Grande Police Department range since about 2003. So 23 years out there. And just been involved in training and in law enforcement at a high level for the past, 25 years. Oh, well, if you include my other time, it's going on 30. So, but primarily Arizona has been like 27 and a half right now.
Yeah. Excellent experience from both of you. And this gets told on here often, but it's apropos to bring it up again. I first met Chris and Cecil. I had interfaced with Cecil quite a bit before meeting him at the 2010 Casa Grande ECQC. That was my first ECQC. I got to participate and get beat up a bit by Cecil as one of my training partners in that. It's what got me hooked in that realm of training. And of course, Chris was a part of hosting that as well. So, I owe you guys a debt of gratitude no matter what. So yeah, that was definitely one of the most monumental firsts for me. So, well, gents, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, Cecil, has it been 20 years that you and I have known each other?
Yep. Dang, yep. Man. First time I hosted Craig, and again, this is like, that 2010, it wouldn't have happened without Chris because I didn't have any connections. And a lot of the shooting ranges in Arizona, you have to know people. They're not exactly open to, hey, letting anybody in. And I wanted to host Craig, and I was like, I don't know where to go. And he's like, hey, Well, one of the first guys who ever hosted me was Chris Lapre, like 2004.
Yep. Oh,
Chris was one of maybe the third or fourth guy who ever hosted Craig for an ECQC.
Nice.
And then he said, "Hey, I'll put you in touch with this guy, and maybe he can get us set up." And so I started talking, and we've been shooting buddies and friends since then.
I didn't realize that was how you guys met.
Yeah,
that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been an ECQC in Phoenix at all, at least until the last couple of years, if it wasn't for Chris.
Well, that's very cool. And being a host myself of multiple instructors, certainly Craig, we've hosted Cecil. We've talked about that in length on this show. And it's hard hosting ECQC because you got to have, I mean, you can do everything at the range, which is what we did at Casa Grande, which made it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah,
Just a side note. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but man, I got some serious gravel driven into my elbows.
everybody does.
Everybody does out there. Everybody.
I
For
mean,
sure.
I mean that adds to the experience. I mean, you're sitting there really rolling around in dirt and rocks. You know, don't have the glass and piss piece that Craig talks about all the time, but had half of it. I was picking rocks out of my elbows for a couple of days. And the other thing, I tell this story too, I had just gotten back from a deployment in Afghanistan, and we had this overzealous Uzbek dude that wrestled in college, and we had these crappy puzzle mats. And I don't even know when it happened, but he and I were rolling, and I stand up, and my pinky toe is doing this number away from my other toes. I can't hardly do it here. It's like turning sideways. I'm like, what in the heck? And sure enough, it was broken like in 3 different places.
Oh, God.
So, but yeah, so my first ECQC, I was still sporting a broken toe, and I wish I could find the video footage. I haven't been able to find it because we've got our 2-on-1. I think I have some of our vehicle Evo, Cecil, that we did. But I do remember one Evo where I was grounded, and you can see me pushing my foot out of the way to keep it from getting entangled. It's pretty funny. Anyway, there's a long diatribe there but I think it's good to talk about our experiences we've had.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
gentlemen, moving on. So we decided we were going to talk about, first off, lighter carry options. It kind of morphed from a picture that I posted online when I was recently on a work trip, and I was talking about how I'm kind of gravitating towards carrying less and less gear. It does build around what am I doing? And I know folks are out there go, well, if you're going to go somewhere, you think you need more, blah, blah, blah. Nah, it's way more nuanced than that. But the bottom line is the three of us, when I say three of us, Chuck Haggard came on and chimed in, and he really wanted to be here, by the way, guys. He told me to tell you that he was sad that he couldn't be here, but he's the acting chief right now of his department, and so he's got an event today. So anyway, bottom line is we wanted to get on and talk about that. And the way I frame it, the way I think about it, is there's no difference between a police officer in various roles, if it be from patrol, undercover work, SWAT work, so on and so forth, and or an infantry squad or platoon that may be doing a recon mission, that may be doing a taking of an objective, or they're having to stay overnight in a layup position. That you're going to change what you carry. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you know what? Before we start talking about nuances, let's set the stage, because that brought up, that made me think of something. So I think I know all three of us will agree on this, and I know Chuck would too. We can start talking about different carries and doing different things in different contexts. But here's the bottom line that all of us are going to agree on. And I think this is what gets lost when people online talk about this. It's for us, it's the software, it's not the hardware, right? We're the weapon. We're the weapon. We're the fighters, right? It's, yeah, the external stuff might help, might be a force multiplier, might allow us to reach out further, but we're not reliant on that external thing. We're relying on us. We're the fighter. Drop us naked on a desert island, we're still going to be dangerous mofos to somebody trying to attack us. Not because, oh, I've got my staccato this and with my ramjet and body armor and stuff like that. But it's us. Yeah, whatever I use, whether it's my just my body or any tool, anything I make, and because I think it's, you see this a lot, especially in the gun community, where everyone's like, carry your gun, carry your gun. Yeah, and I agree with that. I'm down with that. But too many of the times when that's said, there's this underlying implication that if you don't have the gun, then you're helpless.
Right.
Right. And I've had guys tell me this, either online in discussions or actually come up to me face to face, like at conferences and stuff, and say they won't go to places that they can't bring their gun. And I'm like, what a sad life.
Yeah.
Right.
I know I can't live like that.
Yeah. You can't fly anywhere. You can't travel. I mean, you can't go to like England. And dude, if you've never been to the British Museum, you're missing out. That's like one of the repositories of human knowledge. The Rosetta Stone, for God's sakes, is right as you walk in, the actual Rosetta Stone. And you look at this and go, whoa. And you won't see that. You won't go, one of my favorite memories is sitting on the beach in Rio in Ipanema on a Sunday after a tournament, just sipping, well, not sipping, but slamming caipirinhas for all day long, watching hot chicks on the beach. You're not going to do that? You're not going to take your kids to Disneyland, to Magic Mountain, to Universal Studios because you can't carry a gun? No, I'll go any of those places and I'll be able to defend myself. Maybe if I'm carrying weapons, it's going to be a little easier, but I'm still going to be able to carry. And I think for all of us, we agree, and I know Chuck agrees with that. And so when we start talking about, hey, think about this and carry this, that's our starting point. So I just kind of want to get that out there before anybody starts thinking that any of the three of us are going to start, we're having our little disagreement. Well, Chris, you shouldn't carry that. Oh, I carry this. So Cecil, you should carry. No. That's all that's like nuance and subtle things. It's software first, and then let's have support gear.
Well, and I think it's very important. And Chris, I'll let you chime in on your thoughts on the way Cecil framed it. We know that we are going to use, first we're going to use fitness first, and then we're going to use likely empty hands second, right? And when I say you guys know how I'm articulating that. We need to be fit as we can be, and we damn better have some good empty hand skills. So you're more than likely going to use that well and above an actual lethal weapon. And by the way, we also need to have some less than lethal capabilities as well. But Chris, your initial thoughts on this discussion.
I agree with both of you, and I can tailor my experiences to my time undercover, right? Like,
perfect.
There were times I went and had to do dope buys, and I got patted down, I got searched, right? But there's also times verbal skills is a huge one, right? Hey, why are you carrying a gun? Are you a cop? No, man. Everybody in Phoenix carries a gun, to be able to talk your way out of that. That's why for a while I carried basically a plain Jane 1911 because it wasn't a cop's gun. It wasn't a Glock, right? I carried it in a appendix holster, like a cheap, I don't want to call it cheap, but a leather holster that didn't look like it belonged to a cop. I had a cover story, stuff like that. So I was able to talk my way out of it and have an explanation. But there were also times I was like, hey man, this is just going to go be I got a cover team, right? This guy's amped up already. I may not be able to take a gun with me. I'm going to have something with me, but the key factor is there. My verbal skills are going to get me in and get me out. And if it goes south from there, I need to be able to fight long enough for my rescue team to come in and get me. So yeah, 100%, man. There's gonna be times where, hey man, I just can't. And it starts with like, sometimes the appropriate response is the Nike retreat. Just turn and run away, man. You know what I mean? So I
Well,
agree with you
and
guys.
Chris, I'm very glad that you got my rear end straight. Yeah, the verbalization you're going to use even more than the hand to hand skills. So thanks for getting me straight on that. We all believe in the verbalization skills and the de-escalation skills. Those absolutely do come first. But once it comes physical, empty hands is going to be your next step. So very cool. Well, I'm glad you brought up your undercover time. So I mean, really, you've done the gamut in law enforcement of my previous examples. You've done the patrol, you've done the undercover, you've done the SWAT. Your loadouts changed quite drastically, didn't they? You
Yeah,
already
man.
mentioned one.
I mean, dude, there's like, as a patrol guy, I carried a full duty belt, so, and that's where people get confused a lot of times too. It's like, I hear this theory like, oh, we were talking offline. I got my staccato or my Glock and I got an X300 and I got 5 magazines on me and I got that. And it's like, hey man, that's cool. But if you are able to get yourself out of the problem, you're probably saving yourself and your family from watching you get shot when you go in and try and stop the bad guy, right? Because the cops are showing up and they're like, hey, we know there's a dude in here with a gun. And depending on your ability to process things, you may not hear that initial first, like, hey, police drop the gun. And next thing you know, you're getting shot. Well, all you're trying to do is be the hero. And for me, if I'm off duty and I have my pistol on me, it is to fight my way out of the problem, right? And get away from there, whether it be with my family or just me or my buddies, whatever. I am not, unless it is a clear indicator of where this bad guy is, I am not going searching through a mall for an active shooter. I don't have radio comms. I don't have distinct capability to be identified as a good guy. I don't have body
Bingo.
armor, and I only have a certain amount of ammo on me.
Yeah, you just hit it on the head, and I'm in agreement, man. As much as I want to help people, and there may be that instance where I've made the decision that I've got to.
Mm-hmm.
However, my go-to response, because I think you guys would all agree, we need to have a rehearsed response anyway. We need to be visualizing, what it is our typical responses are going to be to your average sets of problems that we know exist because we can read about them, right? Or we can see it on video. We should be using those opportunities to visualize what will we do in that instance. And my initial response is, I'm getting my wife, in this case, I'm getting her the heck out of there, and I'm getting out of there. And if in the meantime, when I'm egressing and I've got to engage the bad guy, I'm gonna do that, of course.
Absolutely.
But in the case of my son and his family's going to be here soon, of course, I'm going to help the same thing. Now, luckily at that point, I'm also going to have my Marine son and pretty well trained, solid blue belt, excellent shooter. My son is definitely somebody I want on my side. But again, that initial response is getting the hell out of there. And you, man, I want to double down on what you said, because some folks have a fantasy
Yes.
of being involved in this. It is very possible you could get shot by police, right?
100%, man.
They don't know who
Absolutely.
you are.
Nope.
You could look just like the bad guy, or to them, right? I mean, you being law enforcement, I mean, you can probably add
Well,
more light to that.
here's an example. How many times have we seen where it's pretty much every active shooter in the past decade, there's multiple shooters, right?
Mhm.
And it comes down, it was just one shooter. But people visualize different things, they see different things, they interpret things differently. And next thing you know, you're the dude running through the whatever, with a gun, soccer field, mall, whatever. Somebody's going to see you and go, hey, like, Hey, that's a bald-headed dude with a gray goatee and a black t-shirt, and he's got a gun. And they're hearing gunshots, and they're like, that's the dude doing the shooting.
Sure.
They don't know that I'm running to save people or anything like that. And I think that's where, like, hey man, I am the first guy to go and save people, 100%. Like, but you have to understand it contextually. Like, you are putting yourself in a very bad position if you don't have something that clearly identifies you as a bad guy. Because the cops showing up, I mean, look at Canada. That dude just popped up and got whacked by
Yep.
that chick, and all he did was stand up and like look at her, and she blasted him.
Yep.
Not every cop coming is the most highly trained police officer that we know of. And a matter of fact, I would say a majority of officers are on the 50% or less scale. And I don't mean that to be negative. It's just the honest truth,
Yes.
especially with the current hiring standards,
Well, and the current attitude and the prosecution of law enforcement, that is also no surprise. And yeah, I'm definitely to the point where, again, it just really depends on the situation. But I'm trying to get the hell out of there. Cecil, you act like you had something to say there, buddy. I feel like I was
Well,
stepping on you.
no, we've already seen it. Was it Salt Lake City that the
Yeah.
good guy got whacked?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
it-
We all think that we walk around with the halo that's visible to everybody, and they're, oh, that's the good guy. That's the guy. But you look at almost all the active shooters, 90% of the active shooters, what do they always tend to look like? People, right?
Mhm.
We have this image that they're going to look like, the bad guy in a James Bond movie or something like that, where everyone goes, he's the bad guy. No, they're dressed the same. They look fairly, middle class guys of whatever color, whatever. There's not a thing. There's not something you can identify most of them. Even the ones that tends to be Islamic terrorism, a lot of them look like kind of normal dudes,
Mhm.
right? And so, like Chris said, if you're seeing, okay, oh, there's a guy shooting over here, and then you see a guy running with a gun, you're like, oh, they're working together, or obviously they're a part of the same thing. You don't know. So this idea that, oh man, I can't wait, man, I'm carrying, and so if there's an active shooter, I'm going to intervene and I'm going to be a hero. No, you're probably not.
Yeah, and again, not to beat a dead horse, it likely isn't your best option
Nope.
at that point,
Nope.
unless you are facing imminent death or grave bodily harm yourself.
Sure. If the active shooter is right in front of you or 10 yards or 15 yards away, yeah, now that's something going on. But if you're across the food court and you hear shooting, man,
I remember, and both of you guys will remember this. It was right around 2000. It had to be right around 2010, 2013, somewhere in there. There's a couple of training organizations that were teaching, like, oh, hey, carry everything you can, have your backpack full of freaking ammo and water, and then your folding stock AK in your truck. And when the active shooter goes down, run and grab all that stuff and run back into the mall. And it's like, dude, you're going to get killed, or at least you're going to get shot.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
when you went out there to get your gear,
Yeah.
you had your best egress option right in front of you, and that's
Yes.
the freaking skinny pedal to the right. Especially if you have your family with you.
Yep.
The truth is that you should be, because your job is to get home to your family. Because I'm a grandfather now, I hope to have more than one grandson. I'm responsible for a lot of people, and the truth be told is that's my responsibility first. And for the listeners out there that may be getting irritated or poo-pooing what we're saying here, that's okay. That's your opinion, but we're trying to speak logic and reason into the discussion.
And here's the other thing that all the firearm instructors and super badass gun tubers and stuff that they always seem to overlook, right? There's this assumption because you're a GM level shooter and you're a jiu-jitsu black belt and you won the CrossFit game or the tactical games and you do all this stuff and you run in this mall, you're going to lay waste to bodies left and right. Really? Because we've seen the best. We've seen, guys from the unit. We've seen Dev Group. We've seen literally The SAS guys, we've seen the best guys get capped by some, dirt bag
Yes.
with a rusty AK who got lucky
Mm-hmm.
or just happened to be placed at the right time as you come around the corner. It was
Yes.
great. You had a chance to get away. You had a chance to be a good witness. You had a chance to make sure the active shooter didn't get out, but you went back in and you got capped. That never enters the discussion on any of these guys. And I
Well,
was like, sorry guys, this isn't a movie.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're not taking 8 shots into your body and then as the credits roll, you're still okay.
yep.
That's not how this shit works.
And I think you really hit it on the head, Cecil. Any of the best trained dudes on the planet have gotten got by a dude with no training, a kid with an AK, whatever scenario you can think of. It's just unfortunate because I mean, I'll use Craig's phrase he uses quite often. Nobody wears a cape, no matter what. We train hard, we carry gear because we want to be as prepared as possible. That doesn't mean with 100% assuredness that we're going to survive. That's just a fact. So, well, yeah, I honestly like where this discussion's going because I think we've framed this very, very well.
Sure.
I think now what I'll do, and I just happen because obviously I'm home. I'll kind of hit on, and I'll very, very briefly display and discuss what I'll just say my normal carry is typically my Glock 19 and a 10 core Velo. I normally have my trusty clinch pick. I always have pepper spray in my palm here. And I, in most cases, am carrying an extra mag. This is one thing I'll talk about here in a second. I'm carrying this smaller Streamlight flashlight and a very small Spyderco. And lastly, minus comms, right? We're going to have comms. And then I've got this wonderful Riker ankle kit that somebody gave me.
I
Maybe
happen to
Chris.
know that kit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So incredible kit. That's a lot of shit, isn't it, guys? It's a lot. Do I carry that all the time? Hell no. I used to carry it all the time, but then I started realizing that, man, and I'm tired of carrying all this stuff sometimes. So one of the first things that goes, and I might get really crapped on the internet. Sometimes it's my magazine, my extra magazine goes first. Sometimes it might be my clinch pick, and then I'm down to just these 3 items: a small folder, a small flashlight, pepper spray, and my 19. And I'm likely carrying a medical, but sometimes that gets left behind. Sometimes I'm in shorts. I won't look very. I'm people are like, why in the hell is he carrying that shit on his ankle? So it just might be these items here I'm holding and my comms, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I'll lastly say this: sometimes I'm just carrying this Glock 43 and those 4 items. So I just wanted to frame that this gets carried a little more these days. These days, not as often. I still carry my 19 and this small folder, pepper spray, and small light. But you know what? I'm a lot more comfortable. And whatever anybody else says, that's my general back and forth on, okay, I'm making a decision on what I'm going to carry today. But I am being truthful. If I'm going somewhere further, maybe it's because we're further from our resupply, so to speak. And maybe that's why I feel I'm more compelled to do that. But I'll ask you, Chris, your thoughts on that, and how what are you actually really carrying as your primary, and how does it flex?
Oh man, I looked at what you were carrying. I'm like, damn, that dude better not fall in a puddle. He's going to drown. For me, it's number one. It's always a flashlight, right? Number two, usually a folding knife, and then I carry a full size gun. I carry basically a Glock 47. To Cecil's dismay,
Cecil's favorite gun is a
it
Glock.
does have a Radian ramjet on it.
Oh my God! Oh my
But
God! You're such a such a hipster doofus. Oh my God!
I will tell you, man, that it was purchased as an experiment. But the Radian barrels, I don't know what magic they use, but I have not found a more accurate barrel than the one in that
That's
Glock.
cool.
It
I'll
is
check it
a
out, buddy.
one-hole gun at 20, 25 yards.
Wow.
So full-size Glock in either a Works holster, appendix carry, or I've also been playing around with Bill Rapier's FO. What is it? What's he? FO3, forward of the hip or something like forward of the 3 position. I really like that. And then, of course, if I'm going to up my game, it's probably a spare mag in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of
So
course,
I carry most of the time.
yeah. And some type, like usually a Riker med kit with me if I'm wearing jeans, and I wear jeans a lot, or some kind of long pants. I always have that with me. But man, as time progresses, full-size pistol, knife, and flashlight, and of course my phone, phone and creds.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize before somebody calls the bullshit card on me. Yes, do I carry that all the time? No, I do not. But that is something that I would carry on a regular basis. But yes, that's what kind of framed part of this was like, you know what? I'm tired of carrying all this stuff. So I just don't all the time now.
A lot of guys like my buddy Josh from Glock, he makes fun of me because he's like, dude, you're the only guy in the entire world, maybe one of 3, that does not like a Glock 19. It just doesn't fit my hand, so I don't shoot that gun. So for me, it's a full size Glock. I mean, shit, man. When I was carrying a 1911, I carried a full size 5-inch 1911 appendix carry and 5 magazines. Right? You talk about some weight. And guys will be like, oh man, you only carry 1 magazine. Yeah, there's a reason for that. For the most part, if it's just me, it's me with the magazine and the gun. And I'm like, traditionally, okay, factory Glock magazines
Yep.
are the most reliable magazines.
Absolutely. That's
ever
part of my
produced.
calculus.
You know what I mean? I can tell you in my 30 years and millions of rounds I've seen downrange on Casa Grande Range and through training with the department and training at DEA when I was there. I can probably count on one hand the number of Glock magazines I've seen fail.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And if a magazine's going to fail, it's at that range.
Yes. And it's going to probably be a 40.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
And luckily 40s are starting to go into the 100%. Pasture.
Yeah. But again, like I don't own a 43. I don't own a 19. It just I just recently bought a Gen 5 26 MOS. That's going to be probably a bag gun more than like a carry gun. So that's it. I mean, I think we're going to get into like heavier carry here in a little bit. We'll let Cecil talk.
So I'm going to go against the grain. Surprise. I never carry a spare mag. If I'm carrying and this is most of the time, the beauty of being a jiu-jitsu bum, unlike my previous 30 plus years as a professional white collar guy where I had Monday through Friday a very strict dress code that I had to follow, or it would be a catastrophic loss of clients if I'm trying to wear something that's ugly or loose fitted or sloppy, or worse, I get made for carrying a gun, and I had to be very strict in that world. Now I can dress how I like. 98% 8% of the time. So most of the time I'm going to have a full size. And right now I'm running my 19X. Ugh, 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 horrible.
The world has shifted backwards slightly.
Well, here's why. Because I wanted to play with the Velo 5.
Mm-hmm.
And because they refuse to carry, to support other cool guns, I had to get it in this. And I'm loving the Velo, so I'm like, all right, I'll run the goddamn Glock for a while. Which is, as a bore sight gun, that's
I was about to say,
that's as good as Glock as it's ever going to be made. And Chris, when I first got the 19X, Chris shot it, and he was like, oh, I don't like this gun, until he shot it, and you go, oh, what did you say? Oh, this is one of the most accurate Glocks I've ever shot. And I'm like, yeah, it is.
Their Gen 5 guns are awesome.
It's a good gun. So that's my, I don't ever carry a spare magazine.
Yeah.
I don't. And here's the fact, right? And I've looked at this and I've waited for somebody to tell me different. There has not been a documented incident where a private citizen loses a gunfight because he runs out of ammo after he made good hits.
Yep.
And that doesn't matter whether it's a revolver or a 1911 with 7 or 8 rounds or a 15, 16, 17 round mag. It doesn't exist. Every time, the guy loses because he runs out of ammo, it's because he's not hitting.
Yep.
Or he's hitting peripheral stuff, or he's just what do you always say, Chris? When there's lead in the air, there's hope in the heart.
Yeah, lead in the air and hope in the heart, man.
Right? Boom, 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 boom. And then, I'm out. Now I got to reload. No, you should have made good hits.
Yep.
So if I'm going to shoot, I'm going to put good hits, or I'm not pulling the trigger. So I don't carry a spare mag ever.
Cecil,
yeah.
Is that a +2 on that? Is that a traditional 19X?
No, this is just the 17. There's just a regular 17, it's for the 19X, but it's essentially a 17 mag.
Yeah, because it's a 17 grip.
Frame.
Yeah, it's a 17 frame.
So, traditionally, the 19Xs come with the +2, right? So
yeah, I have that. I just never carry it.
Yeah, and it's like, man, I'll carry a +2 on my Glock, and my buddy KJ Taylor talks about it. He's like, man, I carry my gun based off of serving sizes, right? The average serving size for a bad guy is 5 to 7 rounds. So if I have 20 rounds, that's 3 engagements I can be in. And I'll tell you what, man, 3 engagements for a citizen, that's a lot of gunfighting, man.
Absolutely.
That's a lot for a cop. You know what I mean?
And again, we get into this mindset where, I got 20 rounds on my gun and I can now fight 4 or 5 guys. Really? By yourself? Okay, you're probably going to put 2, 3 of them in the ground. But guys, if all 5 are firing back at you, let's look. That's as close to a Kobayashi Maru as going to happen. I'm sorry, it just is.
And let's face it. In many cases, we got some hardened bad guys, but let's say you are facing 3 thugs, 3 bad guys. You start putting some rounds in 1 or 2 of them, 2 or at least one of their asses, they are fucking elbows. Exactly. And they are getting the hell out of there too.
You're not going to face a hardened, trained assassination squad where the guys are willing to die to get their target. These aren't KGB, assassins that are coming at you. You put a couple rounds into 1 or 2 guys, the rest are leaving. And again, this isn't us saying this on theory. Show me where what we are saying has been proven to be false. There's
empirical data everywhere now.
Yeah. Now for a cop's a different thing. Military, that's a different thing. But that's why, as a cop, especially a uniform cop, SWAT cop, you're going to be rolling heavier, including body armor. I don't see any of the gun tuber, social media online gun experts talking about, I've got my full size gun with 2 spare mags, that they also happen to be running body armor in their daily life. They're not doing that. I'm like, you know what? Probably is more useful in your fantasy is, rather than the spare mags, is the body armor.
Yeah.
But again, they start talking about, okay, cool. And that's fine, but you need to start thinking about realistically. So I don't carry a spare mag. It just is what it is. I've always got a folder like Chris, and I've always got a light. That's it. I'm always going to carry that. Everything else just sort of depends. Like a lot of times I run my clinch pick like this in a little Henry Holster's clip-on thing. Now I have a really good sheath that I designed for the
Yes.
clinch pick, which is awesome.
JM Custom, right?
Yeah, GM Custom. And I wear that. I'll run that. But the problem with it is because it's so concealable and the way it pulls to the belt, it's super concealable and it's super fast. But it also is like you're stuck with it, right? You can't. It's not a quick on and off type thing. Which, okay, if I'm going to run that way all day, sure, I can do it. But I also like the convenience of like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to run this for right now and have this on me. That's cool too. I might have something else on any given moment. I might run a sap. I might run pepper spray, but honestly, not that often. Not that often. For me, that's something that's going to give. And I know there's plenty of people who like the idea of pepper spray, and it's great. And I'm not being negative on it at all. I think it's great, but I think I need it less than a lot of people. And I know that sounds like really like, oh, I'm such a badass. And I'm not. I'm just a lot of the situations where the pepper spray, the OC is going to come into play, I can kind of handle either with my verbals, with what I'm already doing, or I can lightly go hands on. Right. And I just make that decision. What are you laughing at, Chris?
This pepper spray, man, people don't realize it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
You know? If you break out some pepper spray and just start hosing people down, and family members not used to that,
Yeah.
or people not used to it in general, there's probably going to be a reaction like, oh shit, what did I just get myself into? Now, you can absolutely fight through it. But like if I were to take my daughter and just be like, and spray a burst of pepper spray and have her go through it with her eyes open and take an inhaling of it, like a good deep breath of it, she's probably going to be caught off guard with the reactions to it. And I think people forget about that. You know, it's like, hey man, you want to carry it? I'm all about it. But do a little Saturday experiment, spray some in the air, and walk through the clouds so you know what to expect. Hey man, you know what? I don't know what a can of pepper spray costs, maybe like 10, $15.
Yeah,
Buy
that's
a couple of
probably
them.
about right. 12
Yeah,
bucks
just
maybe.
buy one of those little ones, spray it in the air. You don't have to like turn around and hose yourself down. Just spray it in the air and walk through the cloud, and you'll be amazed at what effect that can have. Now, I will tell you this: in my career, I've come across 3 people where it had no effect on, at
I
least
believe
3.
it.
I can, so again, it's not the end all be all. But can we revert right back to something real quick? Well, it's on my mind. Something Cecil brought up is his job limited what he was able to carry. I'm spoiled, right? Like my job, I've always been able to carry a gun. I could carry whatever I wanted, as far as like within guidelines, right? But what I think people see is that these guys, I've seen it with posts, I've seen it with Cecil's posts, I've seen it with arguments online where Cecil, you did the big J-frame revolver post for a while, and people were just hammering you.
They lost their freaking minds.
I can't believe you carry that. That's not a gun. Hey man, last time I checked, Cecil's not out driving down at 27th Ave in Thomas looking for a fight, right? And
Well, I won't say that.
at least he has a gun on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very restrictive environment. Not everybody is a cop or works in an environment where they can carry a gun. And that has to play into the fact of what you carry. And sometimes I think these internet posts of EDCs, which I love, I'm a camera guy, I'm a picture guy, and I love to see what people carry. But it's like, hey man, you can't be a physician, all right? Walk into an ER with a freaking J-frame stuffed in your scrubs or a freaking duty belt or, an IWB freaking 1911. You can't do it. So there has to be, it has to be based off of what you were allowed. Now, people are going to be like, oh, he's against carrying illegally. That's not what I said. I said it's what you were allowed, because part of being the person that protects your family is having a career, right?
Right. Absolutely, man.
If Cecil gets freaking canned for having a gun or being dressed up inappropriately, Guess what? He's just not able to do is take care of his family.
Yes.
And worse, because it was a family business, I'd
Right.
ruin my parents and my brother taking care of his family, because we've just been blackballed from that industry.
Yes,
all
sir.
of us, because of I got made.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say I like the term, and I can't remember who I heard it from. It might have been Panone. Maybe Mike coined this term years ago. He said, "Hey man, it shouldn't be a concealed pistol. It should be more of a clandestine pistol.
Mhm.
Nobody should know you even have it."
That's right.
Mhm.
And that's, guys will be like, "Oh, you don't carry a full size pistol every day." Yeah, I do. I just have the right holster and I dress around it.
Right.
Which,
Well-
again, like I said, I'm able to do that far more often. Most of the time, that's what I get to do.
Yep.
But I went 33 years
Yes.
where I couldn't. And I had to make a decision. And it's funny, we talk about the YouTubers and the social media people now, but it was still just as bad back in the 90s with the gun writers, because they were saying the same crappy stuff.
Yep.
It was they're all cops or ex-cops or military or ex-military, or they work in the gun industry. So guess what? They're like, oh, just carry whatever. You just carry. You just dress around the gun. A gun should be comforting, not comfortable. All
and they're
that
trying to sell gear too.
Right. And
More so than now. Mhm.
But it all sounds good when you can work in that. You do that. You have the coverage of your business, or you got Leosa creds, right? I remember I had this discussion with Todd Green years before he died, and he was giving me a hard time talking about non-permissive environments and not being able to carry. And he was like, "Well, I had to do that, Cecil." I'm like, "When? When did you do that?" He goes, "Well, we had these meetings at this one place and we weren't allowed to carry." And I'm like, "All right, Todd, hold on a second. How long did you have these meetings?" "Well, it was an entire week." "Okay, what were you there for?" "Well, it's when I was a salesman working for Beretta." "Ah, so they already knew you were in the gun world,
Yeah.
doing this. They told you not to bring a gun. What would have happened to you if you'd have carried the gun?" "Well, I would have got in trouble." "What does that mean?" "Oh, my boss would have been mad at me." "Would you have lost your job?" "Well,
Yeah.
probably not." "Would you have lost that client?" "Probably not." Well, that's not a non-permissive environment. Just because you were a little more strict, but he had a hard time wrapping his. And Todd was a great guy, right? And he was a very smart man, but he had a hard time wrapping his head around that until we had that discussion, because he couldn't visualize what it was for us. What did Pat Rogers always say? Us normal Earth people.
Yeah.
Right? How we have to function. I'm not covered by Leosa creds. I'm not carried by my badge. I'm not carried by federal creds or under the cover of military guys or a secret squirrel crap. I'm not working full time for Smith and Wesson or Magpul or whatever. So if I get made, it's a thing. It's truly a thing. And so when we're in this real world, we have to think about this kind of stuff and go, okay, yeah, and that clandestine is a much better way of thinking about it than concealed, because concealed is kind of like, oh, my shirt's over it. But you guys have all done this, and you can ask my kids, right? We used to have this game when they were younger, and we go to a restaurant, and the game was watch Daddy spot the guy carrying a gun. And I'd go, "Hey, Keelan, look, see that guy over there? Oh, is he carrying a gun, Daddy? Yeah, you tell me. Oh, yeah, there's that bulge. Uh-huh. Now,
Yep.
did that guy know he was made? No, because we're not going, "Hey, look, everybody, this guy's carrying a gun." But we made him. I knew it. If I'm a bad guy and I go, "Oh, I'm killing him first," right?
Yep.
You didn't know because he was concealed.
Well, you should let Keelan shoot him. It'd probably be more accurate hit.
Well, that's why I told her she needed to pay attention so she could go and do it. I just look pretty. But that's the truth on this. We've got to think about this from a clandestine type thing. And okay, are we truly concealed to where nobody knows, but I can still get the gun? Okay, cool. How do you do that? Well, maybe it's dressing like I am now with this pullover shirt that's kind of loose, and I can run a bat belt, and I'll probably be okay. Right? Or now I go to a family wedding and I got to have a tailored shirt with a tie, tailored, with my pant, with my shirt tucked into tailored slacks. What's happening at that point? So then maybe our loadout changes. Well, it should, and it's okay. Just because some gun tuber who doesn't think about that says different, it's okay for us to think about our context and go, all right, what should I? Well, I'd like to still have a gun on me. Cool. Okay. Carry your J frame, carry your 43, carry the, the little, like that little Kel-Tec 32 kind of thing, whatever. As long as you can get to it and you know how to use it and you're going to put rounds where they need to go, man, everything else is just gravy.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that if Chuck was here, because Chuck's a big proponent of smaller pistols these days.
Yeah.
And I think Chuck would chime in on that. I mean, not to speak for Chuck, but I like what he says about 22 long rifle. He says that in his time as LEO, he said he saw a lot of DRTs from 22 long rifles. Now I prefer to carry more, but there might be a day when I'm arthritic. There may be a day when it's just too hard for me to carry, heavier recoil. That should be an option for people. And I would add to that, we should encourage individuals, and this is something I was going to point out. We should encourage people to carry what the heck they can carry and carry all the time or as much as they can. But just bringing up the point that, we're all instructors or have instructor certifications under Tom Givens of Rangemaster. A lot of folks may not know this, but Tom Givens, he used to teach outside of Memphis, Tennessee, one of the roughest AOs you could ever go to. And I don't know if I have the numbers exactly right. I should ask Tom what the numbers are currently, and I'll do that. But I believe we are now to 73, at least 70 to 73 gunfights of folks that had trained with Tom, and there were at least 70 wins and 3 forfeits. And what were the forfeits? They didn't have a pistol with them. So everybody that had a pistol won their gunfight, or they at least went home.
Yep.
So I think that's part of the other aspect of this in this discussion is we need to encourage people to carry what they can, what they have, and what they are going to carry on the most regular basis. And if it's a 22 long rifle, then go for it. We'd rather you have that than nothing at all. And
Well,
I think
it's really funny. You look at Jeff Cooper, who, King, 45 is God's caliber, 1911 is God's gun. If you don't run that, you're Satan or you're a pedophile or you're a communist or whatever. Well, you look at his writings, he was like, hey, if you have a hard time, if you, are weaker, you know what? A 22 is really good. And you know why he said that? He's because you could shoot it. Which means you're going to go out and practice with it.
Mhm.
It's not going to beat you up. You shoot a little 22 snub or a little something like a good 22 semi-auto. It's not going to beat you up. It's pleasant. It's fun. You put a little suppressor on it. Now it's even more fun, right? And you're going to shoot it a lot, which means you're going to be really good at that firearm. And so when you do have to shoot somebody with those little 22 bullets, you're putting them right there. Claude Warner's talked about that for years.
Yes.
Okay. Just put them in the eye socket, which means you got to train. But hey, what's a box? What's 50 rounds of 22 ammo right now? $3?
Yeah, I honestly don't know, but it's cheap.
It's cheap. Get a break of 500 and you could shoot that in, a weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Do that every 2 months. Take your wife out or your daughter, whatever, the weaker person, somebody like Eric said with hand issues or something. Let them go shoot that. And man, they're going to be really good. That person is going to be far better prepared to deal with violence and win than that guy who is following YouTube advice and going, well, I got to carry my Staccato with my Ramjet and my X300. And I got to have the super cool red dot that I don't shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't carry because it's uncomfortable and I can't conceal it because my my lifestyle won't let that happen, and I
And
never
they,
really practice.
yeah, they didn't put forth the effort. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to develop a proper index with the red
Yeah,
dot. I
yeah,
mean, people that are all gung ho about them, I love it. But it takes, you got to put time in to get
yeah.
good with the red dot. My wife, she listens to this show fairly often. She always said, she calls it a cheater scope. And I look at her and said, babe, let me give you any of my Glocks that have an optic on it, and let's see how well you can shoot it. The likelihood, because you've not let me train you on it, is that you're not even going to find the dot.
Yeah.
And I know I'm using her as an example because she loves to just give me a hard time about it, but she knows better. She's just giving doing what our wives do sometimes. But the truth is it takes time. But I didn't mean to get off on that tangent. But again, back to the 22. It's funny. I was just gonna tell a side story. I don't know what the current price is. You know why? Because back when 550 rounds bricks were, $9-10, man, I bought so many of them.
I wish
that
I did, man.
that 22 ammo was going to go to my son,
Yeah.
literally.
I still have like 5,000 rounds of
Oh
22
yeah.
just floating around my garage because like you, I was like, oh, I'll buy a brick. I went to, go to Sportsman. Oh, I'll buy a brick for, like you said, $9-10.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I need to do more 22 rifle shooting now that which we're going to talk a little bit about this here in a second.
Yeah.
But I need to do more 22 shooting. The PRS guys, because they're already so developed, the pros and whatnot, or the folks that are really good, they shoot 22s for a lot of the bulk of their practice,
Yeah.
because they've already developed that capabilities with
Yeah.
their actual 6.5 Creed or 6 Dash or whatnot. So 22, yeah. Well, real quick, because I know Cecil, you've got to go here in about 20 minutes, right?
I could get about 30. My student's
Okay.
going to start walking in about 40 minutes.
Okay. Well, good. Well, then, because I want to get to your rifle discussion here in a second, Cecil, because I'm excited about an event you have coming up. But Chris, I'll jump to you, man. We were also going to, because we're also serious about a higher level of capabilities.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what if we are going to go with a larger loadout that may include our vehicles. I'll let you go first, man.
So for me, if I'm in town, it's what I discussed just now. If I'm going outside of that, I carry a bag. It's a EDC bag, whatever. It's a Filson 24. I don't know. I think they call it the 24 tin cloth bag, right? If I
Nice
that
bags.
gets, yeah, they're badass bag, man. But you can buy a Glock for what I paid for
I
that
was gonna
bag.
say, man.
um, that has a much more extensive medical kit in it just because, I am an EMT and I've got
Mhm.
a bit more training. So that carries a very large med kit in it in the outside pocket. Um, there is usually a couple extra pistol magazines in there. And then I always have a fixed blade and then, you know, charger for my phone. Extra batteries for everything that I have,
Mhm.
usually a spare flashlight. There may even be, an X300 or something turbo in there that I can always latch onto the pistol. Um, and then I carry, I don't know if you guys have seen one, and it was kind of a weird thing for me, but I started carrying it a lot, and it's become extremely useful. I know Winkler makes them, it's like a screwdriver,
Oh
and
yeah,
you use
those
it
are
to
nice.
and I got one of those. A buddy of mine was carrying one. I'm like, hey, what do you think about that? He goes, dude, I won't go anywhere without this thing anymore. And I picked one up. Sorry, sorry
Bless
guys.
you.
And I found it like invaluable, either to pry things open so I'm not damaging my knife blade, to screw things in. So that's in there. And then of course there's usually some type of water bottle, insulated water bottle because it's hell +3 out here. And then, Tylenol, Motrin, the traditional old guy meds. And really, man, that's it. If I'm not planning on being outside or being away from home overnight. If we go overnight, it's more ammo, more water. I've got the batteries, the med stuff covered, so I'm not too worried about that. And then if I am traveling outside of the Phoenix area, I do carry a carbine. I carry a carbine and a couple of mags with it.
Yep.
And then if I'm going out of state, that gets upped a little bit more, and it's usually carbine, 5 mags for my pistol, and then of course supplementing that with like batteries for the weapon lights, batteries for the EOTech, and of course batteries that I already had. And then usually, again, it's not the point of the issue, but there's usually a jerry can full of water and other supplies in my truck. It's a sustainment vehicle for me at that
absolutely.
point.
Yeah, I would say, Chris, that you and I have a lot of parallel items.
Yes.
I carry them slightly different, just because of my needs and some things that I am also experimenting with. But one of the things that is slightly different, and it's mainly because, as you guys know, in my day job, I travel a lot. I
Yes.
also travel overseas a lot. I could be called on to travel overseas in a matter of days. So I generally have, and I won't pick it up right now. I don't want to make noise. I've posted about it before and I've talked about it before, but I have an EDC backpack. I think people are, maybe the EDC is getting it as an old phrase, but it's true. It's something that I carry very often to work. It's what I take to work with me. But
Yep.
one of the big reasons I do that is it's got a lot of baseline sustainment in there. You talked about meds, talked about batteries. I've got a ham radio in it. I've got a compass. I'm used to having a compass as a soldier.
Uh-oh.
It's got another med kit in it. I've got a Grail water filter, because talk about going overseas, man. When I'm overseas, that Grail saves my ass, because a lot of the water sources you don't want to be drinking without filtering it. And I've got some warming items, hat. I've got a change of underwear and socks, and I've got a decent jacket and some gloves. Now, I pretty much have hit everything that goes with me. Even during the summer, I keep that stuff in there because, again, I could go somewhere where I might need those. And I've got a larger vehicle med kit that actually swings around one of my seats in the back. I've always got at least an extra gallon of water. I've got food. It's mainly I've got boat rations because they keep real long. And I've got some packets of various freeze dried stuff, and I've got the means in this backpack also to heat some of that up.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I just didn't want to. It's all this. My day bag that is my sustainment for like around has what we were talking about, and then like that bag that you described goes with me anywhere I'm traveling overnight.
There you go. And I'm sorry if I'm being verbose, but yeah. So, but if I am going, like you mentioned, and then I'll hand this over to Cecil. We can go down a litany. I don't want to cover everything. I'm gonna bore the hell out of everybody in the audience. Is if I am going somewhere outside of my local area, especially if I'm going out of state, I am going to carry a carbine. Right now, it's been
You're
a
cutting
full.
out, brother.
Oh, what's that? Can you hear me?
Cutting out, Eric.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Well,
You're back.
okay. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen again. But yeah, when I'm going outside of my area, especially to another state, I typically carry a carbine. Right now, it's been a folding 300, but I'll be frank with you, it's now an SBR, and so that's going to change where I can carry that, or if I want to carry it. But it's still my primary travel AR right now. I have other options, several mags, both subs, and I even bring a cam with me. But that's definitely if I'm going somewhere far. And guys can say, "Oh, that's a fantasy. You'll never need it." Well, you know what? Being a former soldier, um, you know, I just feel comfortable having it. If I was to need it, and I like to think that we're also practicing too. What if shit doesn't go well here in, a while? We want to at least be prepared
Yeah.
to be able to plus up if we need. But anyway, I've blabbered on long enough, Cecil. What are your thoughts on that? And is that something
You're right back.
that
I'm,
you get into as well?
I'm pretty much the same. I have my backpack that I take everywhere that I actually bring into the house at night because there's where my laptop is. So then I bring the laptop and I get that charging up every night. But my mini sustainment bag, that's always there. It's in the car. It's with me. It's right here under the desk right now. That's my thing. And then the car, I've got 4 to 5 days worth of extended sustainment. And it depends. And I'll tweak my pack
Absolutely.
a little bit depending on where I am. Like if I'm just riding around town, okay, that's set up a certain way. If I'm going to travel somewhere in Arizona or someplace that's going to be a little bit more friendly, I set it up a certain way. If I'm driving like I'm going to at some point to California, now it tweaks a little bit. So the general gist is going to stay the same. It's just, okay, what do I need in this context? What can I do legally? What makes sense? All these things have to go into it. And it's not just, well, you should carry this. Yeah, okay, cool. Great. I got my super cool SBR. Great. I'm going to drive over to LA.
Nope.
Not exactly. And I'm telling you, man, they wait for that stuff.
Yep.
Like one time I was coming out through the border checkpoint at Blythe, going Phoenix to LA, right as you cross the river, there's a checkpoint. And there's a highway patrol guy just waiting. He was waiting for guys coming from Arizona who are talking on their phone because it's illegal in California. And he was waiting and he was watching people. And why I know, because he nailed me.
It's cops' fault, man. It's always the cops' fault.
Well, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was in California. He's like, I don't care. Here's your ticket. Fuck you. Sorry. But again, in California, they're not going to be friendly to that. Washington, Oregon, certain states, you have to take those things into consideration, and you can't just go all rights. Okay. Yeah. Well, what should you carry? What should you go to these other states? And there's been people, Daryl Bolke, you talked about this at times, and like, well, what makes sense that you could take everywhere? Well, number one, a revolver. Sorry, a revolver makes sense. You can carry that in New Jersey. You can shoot wad cutters. You're okay. Any place that you can have the gun, the revolver's going to be okay. What else? You look at long guns. Okay, well, probably a pump shotgun is okay pretty much everywhere. Especially if it's got mostly wood furniture, because everyone's going to go, oh, that's a hunting gun. That's your duck gun. That's your quail gun, whatever. You look at rifles, same kind of thing. What's an acceptable rifle in the United States? Probably lever action.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And what do people go through? What goes through most people's heads when they see a lever action? John Wayne.
Yep. Cowboys,
whatever. I guess now it's less John Wayne, unfortunately, with later generations. They're not understanding the wonders of that kind of stuff.
Who's that? You want to slap them at that point.
Yeah, that's okay. They'll watch Tombstone, so at least they're into into good Western. So that's okay. But again, they're looking at this kind of stuff, and so you go, okay, well. And I'm not saying you're wrong, Eric. This is not my point.
Not at all.
Right. I'm just saying, if somebody out there's listening, yeah, cool. If you could carry this, that's great. Because honestly, a 5.56 SBR is probably pretty much one of the best fighting guns you're going to have, especially that you can carry in a car. But are we going to where we can run that gun?
Absolutely. And that's why I really wanted to talk about this, because we all have our thoughts on this, and it kind of segues into our next subject here in a second. I want you to carry on, Cecil. But here's the thing, and that's where when I decided to SBR this 300, I'm like, okay, now I got to come up with another solution for when I'm going areas where I can't take this, or in some cases I may not want to take it, right? Even if I could.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely apropos that you brought up these other options, and I've got to fill that gap. Now I've got some ARs that I can take with me that will fill that role, and I can take them to a majority of states, but not California,
Right.
not New York,
Right.
now, and I believe in Colorado. I think you could get in, and now we're talking Virginia. I mean, we can go down a litany of the states, but anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be working on closing that gap, and I'm going to fill it with something similar to what you're talking. Maybe even a as short of maybe a breakdown bolt gun,
Yeah.
something of that sort. Which kind of it's just something that I've got to close the loop on now, because what my other plan is, I changed it,
I was
but
watching just the other day. I was watching a YouTube guy. It comes up every now and then. He's one of the, he's decent. He doesn't pretend to be anything, like fancy or anything. He doesn't make these dogmatic pronouncements about tactics and carry and stuff. So, I'll watch his stuff. And he was talking about, and he has a ranch. It was a farm ranch somewhere in the Midwest. I'm not quite sure. But apparently in his state, you can have a rifle in your car, but it can't be loaded. So what he was talking about, his carry, or the gun that he'll have as his ranch rifle, is a Ruger Gunsight Scout rifle. And his whole point was, he has the rifle, and then he has the 10-round magazine sitting over here. Oh, something happens, boom, work the bolt. Now you've got the gun. Much, much better than loading a lever action, and you're thumbing those things in, or maybe another bolt action where now you're single feeding rounds into that set magazine. And so it's just something, again, he looked at this, he looked at his context, and he's like, hey, you know what? For me, this is a really good answer. And I think that's how we should think about it. It's, okay, well, what makes the most sense? And yeah, sure, carrying an AR, carrying whatever, SBR. I mean, I was bugging Chris a month or two ago about, what barrel length should I get for my SBR, 10.5 or 11.5, and what suppressor is the right way to run, right? So it's something you should do, but there's places I'm not going to take that thing. When I do finish building, I'm not going to take that place, the thing, where I might take something else.
Well,
So
can I go ahead, Chris?
No, go ahead, man. I was going to say this is where this scout concept really, really comes into play for me, because number one, I've been thinking about it for a long time, right? It's something that's had an interest to me, and it's something of a heavy caliber compared to a 5.56.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
5.56 is great, right? And it'll do everything that pretty much I need it to do. But I'm looking at going up. I've got 2 trips up north that I have to do to go teach. And one of them, we're going to be out in the mountains of Colorado for a week. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be up in bear country with just a 5.56. And I know it's like, hey, man, the right bullet and enough rounds in the bear will do it. But it's like, hey, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for.
Neither would I, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to be the test case.
I've been in bear country in Alaska, and I wouldn't want to go there with the 5.56. Hell no.
Yeah.
So the thing that really appeals to me is 16-inch Ruger Gunsight Scout 308. Pretty much take down anything in North America that I need to worry about. It's fast handling. It has multiple rounds. You can buy magazines for it. Pretty much, I think the Scout accepts PMags.
Yeah.
And it's 50 state legal.
Yes.
Right? I can go anywhere with it. And for the most part, it's going to do anything I need it to do within my area that I'm hoping to expect.
Yeah.
If I'm going somewhere where I'm expecting civil unrest or whatever, hey, like I'm going to Minneapolis in 2020, I'm probably going to avoid Minneapolis, right? But if there is something, I'll pack accordingly. But as a general rifle for my needs, Scout and 308 really kind of sets the guidelines for multiple shots, accurate, heavy caliber.
Yep.
And a seasoned marksman can do just as much work with that as a dude with an AR for the most part. You know, I know there's some slight differences, but when we're talking about fighting with a rifle, there's so much you can do with that type of scout setup. And I'm going to close the loop on that one too, brother. That's probably going to be the next rifle that I get is going to be a scout rifle.
What's the name of the guy that you were talking? Cody something, right?
Cade Cole.
Yeah.
Cade Cole. That's him.
Yeah, we had him on, I think it was the last episode.
Yeah.
I really, he's got an infectious attitude, and excellent marksman, and he's a realist too. You know, his most important aspect of what he does is he's teaching people how to hunt and put food on the table. But he's also an avid patriot and avid marksman, and he puts it on the line, you know, and even calls dudes out that are, you know, just
discovered him kind of by accident. He just
I did too.
On my feed and really, really started paying attention to what he's got to say, man. And I mean, there's not a lot of arguments for the points he makes.
No,
you know what I mean. So that's really pushed me in that direction. And then, of course, the conversation we were having offline today and stuff like that with Cecil talking about the scout rifle, I'm sold. Now, am I going to take that to war? No, but for what my needs are, it fits
for an individual. And that was Cooper's whole concept. It's not one rifle. It's not a perfect rifle for everything. It's not a perfect hunting rifle. It's not a perfect fighting rifle. It's not a perfect. It's a great rifle in all of those categories. It will do a really good job in all of those. And it's truly that general purpose utility rifle for an individual. Now, if all you care about hunting, don't get a scout rifle. It doesn't make sense. But if you care about fighting, that aspect of having a snapshot, dude, there is no faster way to snap shoot a long gun than a scout scope, with the exception of a red dot. But with the red dot, you lose the magnification.
Yep.
Sure.
You know, but it's so fast. You know, it's so fast, and I've been playing a lot with that. And you're just like, oh my God, this is when you understand the concept. And it's great. Another good YouTube place is called On the Scout.
Okay.
He's like Cade Cole. He's a hunting guide up in Oregon, I think. Oregon.
Is he a leaner Indian guy?
Yeah, kind of looks
Indian,
that way. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff. Yeah, I like him a lot.
He's the same. Runs the scout rifle, is a big believer in it and stuff. And he's got a lot of that similar content to Cole. It's, you know, very similar stuff. And he makes the same points. Like this is a great utility do-it-all rifle. I mean, if all your hunting is going to be at 500, 600, 700 yards, no, don't get a scout rifle. That's not the point. You know, but if you want something for everything, including something that's 50 state legal, if I need to fight with this thing, man, there's not a whole lot of better answers than that thing. Well,
and guys, let's face the truth here. We have been winning so many battles as it relates to the Second Amendment. It's looking good for AR-15s. I'll just say specifically, or semi-automatic rifles. It's looking good right now. That could change in one administration or two administrations.
That's right.
It could happen. And we know that the Supreme Court is taking up one, and I can't articulate which case it is. I don't have it to memory. But the Supreme Court is actually going to take one up for the next session.
Yeah.
I'm feeling okay about it. I'm not feeling great. It could absolutely go against, the semi-automatic rifle, even though Kagan is saying, hey, they're the most popular rifle in the United States. They're in common use. That kind of, and with Kagan saying that's sounding in our favor, but we don't know. This next year,
this court has already made some weird decisions.
Absolutely, man.
You can't assume that they're going to rule a certain way.
Yep.
Yeah. Does it look okay? You know, kind of.
Yep.
But even then, It literally takes 2 judges to flip,
Yep.
and
You
everything
guys,
changes.
you guys are way more optimistic
Yeah,
than I am.
I know during our texting, Chris, I saw your sentiment that you're definitely taking a more pessimistic, and that's all right, man. You're being realistic. And to that point, and I'll let you chime in, Chris. That's where this scout rifle also comes in, and where we should have that in a moment's time, and an administration comes in, and all of a sudden they're illegal. We have to have an option, and we should prepare for that now and get good at it. But you were going to say, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing. I mean, this is a Supreme Court ruling, right? So this could have really detrimental effects if it goes the other way. But the big thing, I look at this kind of the same way as I look at the NFA thing. Like, everybody's all excited the NFA stuff went away. Man, all it's going to take is a new administration to
Absolutely.
go, hey, you know what? We Democratic Senate, Congress, and President, and they're going to go, hey, you know what? We're going to relook at this, and now instead of being $200,
Yep.
we're going to make it $10,000 again.
Yes.
Because remember, $200 in 1934 was probably
Absolutely.
the
You beat me
equivalent
to
of
it.
damn near $10,000.
100%.
And that's the reason they did it that way, by the way. But
Yes,
go ahead, brother.
100%. And that worries me. And everybody's like, oh, this is a big win. I'm like, no, guys, it's not a win.
Mm-mm.
I mean, until the U.S. Supreme Court says this is an unconstitutional ruling and this will hold up, man, you're looking at some scary times. And just like, and not to go off on the NFA thing, but they learn, right? Democrats, sure, the left learns and uses that to study the future, and they always circle back around to get us somehow. Where we're just like, hey, just leave me alone. I just want to live my life.
Well, Chris, I think that is the problem. Is that
100%.
conservatives for the most part are kind of a live and let live.
100%.
But you know what? The left, especially the anti-gun left, anti-Second Amendment left, they're relentless, man. They will never stop. They will look at every opportunity to destroy the Second Amendment. And even though we're in a good spot right now, they're always laying in wait. They're waiting for that ambush point. And so, yeah, we have to think about that. And the point behind all of this discussion is we want to be riflemen first. It doesn't matter what the tool is. We want to be good with our rifles, no matter what it is. And it's one of those things where I think people, when they get complacent, that's when we're really going to have a hard time, and where it could flip.
Yep.
So people need to have a reasonable and or logical thought process on it. And I'll just hit on the NFA. I didn't want to do any NFA. I was like, I don't want to be on that list. I don't want to be on that list. I had relented just recently. It wasn't just the change in the tax. I actually got my first NFA item before that went into effect. But I'm always looking at that. Now I've got some NFA items. What happens if at what point that the left says, hey, we don't like anybody having those out there now? Let's repeal the NFA. Let's make it even worse. Hey, those to the left, with the way that they think of things, is supposedly those are the most dangerous, right? These SBRs, full auto. I'm not as concerned about full auto guys. I'm just not. But SBRs, short barrel shotguns, and suppressors, they hold a place, and they could at one point say, hey, those are dangerous and unusual. We're going to ban those completely. And those shit, that could be the first thing to happen.
100%.
Because then it gets their nose in the tent, so we're never safe. Go ahead.
Sorry, just to get back on track with the scout rifle thing, I just want to ask Cecil this before he takes off.
Yeah, because he's got to go.
Yeah, Cecil, what scope are you running that you found that you really like on that?
Well, so far, I got lucky. I actually have one of the original Loophole 2x5s.
Nice.
that first came out that they haven't made for 5, 6, 7 years. Freddie Blish actually found one on Craigslist up in Prescott.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so I got it. So it's real funny. So on my Scout, I have the loophole scope, like the original one, the one that was sort of like, this is the thing. And then I actually have Giles Stock's original Ching Sling. So I've got like as close to the idealized thing as possible.
And it's a Steyr too. It's not the Ruger, right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like the loophole a lot. It's really good. And man, you can get that thing sitting. It's like you could barely get a credit card between it, the scope and the gun. Super low. It's great. But again, you go, okay, but it's only 2.5 magnification. So I know I'm giving up certain things, but I'm willing to, again, I'm making that trade. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm probably, even with a more powerful scope, I'm probably not taking that shot because I know my own capabilities. So am I giving anything up? Probably not for what I use for it. So it's about as durable a scope as loophole ever made.
It's funny, man, because a lot of times, even on like specific sniper rifles, bolt gun, whatever you want to call them, a lot of guys over magnify. They'll like, hey man, I've got a 6 to 25 and they're at 25 all the time. And it's you probably want to back that off to about 16 to 18. Like I have a 1.5 to 5 loophole, and that's kind of the option I'm looking at going to when I get this thing. And I was just like, I think the 1.5 to 5, the 1.5 will give me enough where I can take those snapshots close in, and the 5 will give me enough magnification out 600-700 yards, no problem.
The one to look at, I haven't seen this yet, but the On the Scout guy really likes it. Hilux just came out with the new one.
I saw that.
And it's a 2 to 7.
Okay.
But it's basically got a red dot in it.
Nice.
So
that's how the loophole I have is too.
Yeah, see, that's really good. See, mine doesn't. The one I have is, again, old technology. So I would like to have that. That would be a little nice, just extra, again, to help your, that snapshot type thing. But it wouldn't be bad to have more power, but for me, it's not the deal breaker. You know what I mean? Yeah. At some point, if I get to play with the Hilux, I'll take a look and maybe I'll, put that on mine, but it's not like it's not bothering me too much. Now, when I go and start running the Scout under the gun, in a competition or something like that, maybe I'm going to go, God dang it, I should have had the variable, but now I'm going to run it.
That because I'm afraid we're going to lose you too soon to even talk about that. So I want to hit.
Nobody showed up yet, so I got 10 minutes.
So I really want to hear, because this is a great time. So you've got a big event coming up with your Scout rifle. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, so it was funny. So I was looking. Actually, Giles called me up, and he goes, "Hey, Cecil, did you see that they're going to do a gun sight like the October 31st? I think it is. They're going to do the first Scout Rifle World Championships." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool. I like that idea." And I assumed that you would have to have gone through 270 to shoot.
I was going to ask you that.
And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I'd like to do 270 next year. So it's one of the classes I've always wanted to take, the general rifle class. And I'm like, okay. And so I said something, I went, somebody posted online, maybe Ken Campbell had posted. So I said something and I'm like, oh, this is great. And Giles and I talked about, we'll just drive up, cause it's, hour and 45 minutes from the academy, right? We'll drive up, we'll hang out, we'll watch the competition, see real cool, because I'm sure they're going to bring out some old Scout rifles dating back to Cooper's days. And, there'll be a lot of people I know up there and a lot of people Giles knows. And then, but I posted something on like, man, okay, this is a great event. Next year I'll take 270 and I'll enter it. Well, the guy hosting it said, no. You just have to be a graduate of any 3-day or longer gun sight class. And I'm like, nice. Boom, I can do that. So I jumped in and I signed up the next day.
Cool.
So I'm doing it, and it's cool because there's only like 30 competitors. So I wanted to get in as much as possible, So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna run it and let's see what happens. As long as I don't end up number 30, I'll be okay.
Well, it sounds awesome, man. I really look forward to hearing about it, and maybe we can have you back on and talk about it because recently that's been my renaissance in my rifle
Yeah.
has been because frankly we talked about this offline.
Yeah.
Is that I'm honestly a better rifle shooter, better carbine runner than I am a pistol, and it's one of those things where I left it alone because the truth is, I think you guys will agree, if you shoot pistol decently well or really well, you're always going to shoot rifle pretty well,
Yeah.
for the most
Pistol's a
part.
lot harder for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah. So, but that point, the point behind that is I'm just having a lot of fun with rifle right now. I'm getting prepared for the NRA ARC level 1 and level 2 state matches here in North Carolina. And so, man, I'm just enjoying rifle right now. And
I'm right there with you. I've gone through this point. I was like, man, okay, yeah, I'm still running the pistol a lot. I mean, private citizen, that's got to be the thing that I put the most amount of time. I dry fire. I'm shooting what I just shot on Friday. I'm going to shoot a week from Friday with Freddie. I'm taking 250 again in first week of August. So I'm getting the pistol in. But man, what I'm loving right now is shooting, center fire, big caliber guns. My Scout, my Krag Sporterized carbine, I love that thing to death. And even my stock short magazine Lee Enfield,
cool.
running like, I'm in World War I British soldier in the trenches. It's just, there's something to running these guns. Oh, speaking of the YouTube, there's another really good channel that I love. It's called British Muzzle Loaders. And it's this guy up in Canada. And you first look at him and you go, he's kind of a goof. He's not. He always dresses up in whatever era, but he shoots British military rifles from black powder on up. But what's really cool, he does competitions. He'll go through the history. Like the one I'm watching right now, it's a couple years old, but he's running a series on the British musket practices, the marksmanship practices of the British Army in 1914. And he's going through the entire training manual and he's running through the field exercise